You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network. It's the TuAmigos Podcast with Carter and Jorge at DolphinsTalk.com.
Welcome. As you know, we have a running back in this show where I beat Carter to the punch of saying hello to your beautiful and loyal listeners.
Yes.
How are you, Carter?
And I think it's pretty ballsy this week, specifically because you're driving currently, that you are on the road. You are a dangerous driver. You're distracted, and you have decided, okay, I still want to be on the show. I can't miss another week in a row. But honestly, if you crash, this could be the end of the show. How are you feeling right now, buddy?
I can feel the pressure. I think, we the team has worked hard. We're doing well. We should be home safe and sound in a couple of minutes.
Okay, well, my dad's an insurance man, and there's a rule about when you're close to home. I don't know if you know it, but most accidents happen within, 5 minutes of your house? So don't take the foot off the metaphorical gas here and end up crashing right at the end zone there. But what I will say,
I'll do my best.
Jorge, going into this week is, and I want to start out the episode just very quickly because honestly, I'm really worried for your safety. But here's what I will say: we beat the Commanders by a lot. The Commanders have the 32nd, at least allowing points per game, the worst defense in the NFL according to allowing points per game. So I want to hear your thoughts on did you feel as if you learned anything about this team, or are we still just beating shitty teams? What do you feel?
I hate your negativity, Carter. I absolutely hate it. I think you know this. I think you're just trying to get on my nerves at this point. But I think this team is very good. I think they are beating teams they're supposed to beat, doing it in the fashion they're supposed to do so if they are who we think they are. I think the defense has improved. I think the offense is looking sharper in the last couple of weeks from a couple of weeks ago. So I'm excited, man. I think this team is really aware of where they want to be, and they're working towards that objective.
Okay, and I think that's fair. And I think you can almost predict what my opinion is going to be opposite of your opinion. But the listener right now, you, my listener, come up to the carpet, my duckling, because I don't want you to be tricked yet, okay? Do not be tricked by the razzle-dazzle of us beating shitty teams back to back to back to back. This team has proven nothing. I know we're number one in the AFC, but this team has proven nothing. So do not get tricked by the razzle-dazzle. Also, we just lost Jorge. When he sends another invite, I'll pop him back in. And it almost might be okay. I hope he didn't get in a crash, and that's why he had to leave the Zoom. But he really shouldn't have been driving and podcasting at the same time. That's almost like drinking and driving in a lot of ways. All right, here he is. We're not pausing the podcast, okay? We're just going to keep letting him in every time he gets kicked out. So I'm glad you didn't crash, Jorge. I was worried you crashed.
I did not crash. That's what I get for trying to be a safe driver and put in the Bluetooth.
Oh, yep. That is what you get. That is what you get. Okay, well, I'll repeat sort of what I was saying. I basically said, just the listener, do not get tricked by us beating shitty team back to back to back. We've proven nothing. We do look better. Every single week, defensively, offensively. We look a lot more slick. Tua didn't throw any picks this week. But really, you can at least admit that even though we're number one in the AFC, we haven't proven anything yet.
I disagree. All right, who have the Bills lost to? Denver, who we beat the shit out of.
Yeah.
Who has Kansas City lost? Denver, who we beat the shit out of. I mean, this is the NFL. All three losses from the Dolphins have been away. Two of them, by the way, Kansas City and Philadelphia. This team was 1 or 2 plays away from winning that game.
Okay, yeah, fair.
So I don't buy this that, we're just beating on bad teams. We are not. We are destroying bad teams. We are truly building an unbreakable fortress at home, which I think is fantastic. I mean, I think that home field advantage is real now. Um, so I don't understand the negativity card. I think we should all be buying into this team. This team that is the number one offense in the NFL. I think they're a top 7 defense if I'm correct in the stats. The last couple of weeks at least. So I see no reason for this team for people to doubt this team at this point. I think, and I've said this before, Carter, I don't think we're losing another regular season game this year.
I think that's a really beautiful mindset, and obviously I do appreciate your positivity. But here's my question for you. Follow up on that. Let's just keep debating this. Who are your Super Bowl contenders? Like reasonable Super Bowl contenders in the AFC and the NFC. Let's hear it.
I think the AFC has 3 legitimate contenders right now: the Dolphins, okay, Baltimore, and Kansas City.
Okay.
I don't think Houston is there yet. I think they could be there soon, but they're not there yet.
Yep.
I think in the NFC you have the Eagles, you have San Francisco, maybe Detroit, maybe Dallas, but I would say my top 2 are San Francisco and Philadelphia.
Okay, so out of your list right now, honestly, those are the only teams that matter, right? And I would agree with you. Everyone would have about the same list. Those 3 in the AFC, those 3 in the NFC. We're 0-2 against that list. Do you see my point here?
Yeah.
We haven't proven anything. We haven't proven we can compete with those Super Bowl contenders, and that's really all that matters.
I see your point, but
we're losing him again. Honestly, I think this is an adventure of a podcast.
That we can beat them, but I think we can also. Can you hear me?
I can. Hold on. Speak again. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Do your point over again because we're losing you as you're driving.
My point is, I think you are being very biased because you said we haven't proven we can compete. Carter, we went, away from home against Philadelphia, into Philadelphia after they had lost the game in prime time, and we were a couple of plays from winning that game. We went to Germany against the Kansas City Chiefs team that had lost the week before, and we were a couple of plays from winning that game. So I think we have proven that we can compete with them. We just have to take that.
We're losing them
against
again.
Dallas and against Jesus Christ.
It's okay. We honestly got most of what you said, and now you are back. What I will say, Jorge, is a lot of people could view the Kansas City game as we competed and we were a couple of plays away from tying that game at the end, or some people could view it as this. We were down 21-0 at halftime to a really good team, and then they took the foot off the gas and we almost came back. You could view it that way too.
Okay. I mean, I think we've seen the Dolphins take their foot off the gas a number of times this year, and we've never been at risk of the other team catching up with us.
Well, I mean, the Patriots week 1.
Well, we played the Chargers week 1.
Oh, sorry, week 2, whatever it was.
Even then, I don't think we've ever. I don't think with the games that we've won this year, we've ever felt like we were at danger of losing. And the games we've lost, outside of that Buffalo game, because I think that one is definitely an anomaly this year. I think this team has always had a chance to win every game they've played in.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't honestly. I watched the Eagles game with my Eagles friend, which was awful, obviously, because all Eagles fans are the devil. But
yes,
what I will say is that I don't remember feeling like we were that close. Were we close at the end on that game? I don't remember feeling that way.
I think, there's that drop by Tyreek. There's a number of just bad plays. Yeah. And that's if you look at those games, there's a big drop by Tyreek against Philadelphia. There's the fumble by Tyreek against Kansas City. And I'm not pointing fingers at Tyreek here. I'm just saying, those 2 plays could have turned the game over for the Dolphins. And the fumble wasn't on Tyreek. It was on Durham Smythe that just missed the block. But my point is that those games, there's very, very specific mistakes that you look at and you're like, okay, this is what cost us the game. If you fix this, you can definitely beat this team. And I'm going to ask you now, Carter, do you think that if the Dolphins get the number 1 seed in the playoffs, are you afraid of any team coming into Hard Rock Stadium and beating us?
No, I think we could win the Super Bowl if we get the 1 seed. I just don't know if we get the 1 seed.
All right, so Kansas City has to play Buffalo this week. We saw what happened to Jacksonville. We're playing the Jaguar. We're playing Baltimore in a couple of weeks. I mean, I think, and as I said before, I don't think we're losing another regular season game this year. I'm very, very confident about that fact.
It is true that if we have 4 games left, correct?
Yes, we're playing the Titans. We're playing the Jets. No, we have 5 games left.
Five games left, and 4 of them are at home. If we secure the 1 seed, we could have, 7 of 8 games at home in the next 2 months.
Yes.
If we win out and get the 1 seed or whatever it needs to be to get the 1 seed. Here's the one thing I will say though. And the reason I don't think we're going to end up with the 1 seed, and I'm telling you, if we get the 1 seed, it's totally plausible that through Hard Rock Stadium, because it's one of the best home field advantages in football right now, we could make the Super Bowl. But what I will say is, how many complete games have we played all season? I feel like there's a lot of games, even like against the Jets. We turned over the ball like 4 times against the Jets, but we were better than them by a long shot, and that's why it didn't matter. Same thing goes, like, it almost seems like every single game we have sloppy turnovers. Mostert fumbles the ball, but we're just better than them because we're playing a lot of shitty opponents, that it doesn't matter. But what happens when we turn over the ball 3 or 4 times against the Chiefs? You know what I mean? Like, this is I have a problem with this.
Look, that happened against the Chiefs. We turned the ball over, we made mistakes, and still this team was very close to winning. And let me tell you something else, Carter. Think about like the last couple of years, the Super Bowl champions. Like, they didn't play 18 clean games or 18 complete games. They beat who they had to beat, and then they got better at the end of the season. They got better at the run game. They got better at defense, and then they won at home, and then they won in the playoffs. And that's where we're at. Like, I don't care if we turn the ball over against the Jets and we won. I care about us getting into the playoffs, getting into the tournament in the best position available, which is, number 1 seed, playing every single game at home, and then just being better than the other team. And I think that this Dolphins team at home is better than any other team in the AFC.
I want to look up the statistics on this, and I like your argument, but I want to look up the statistics on turnovers when it comes to Super Bowl teams. But it feels as if our Tua will throw 1 interception a game. He just will. Like, he's going to give you 1, and then Mostert or, Tyreek or someone's going to fumble the ball once. So for sure, there's 2 turnovers going to you. And if we have to play in these cold weather games where we don't get the first round bye, it could even be worse than that. Will you agree on that we need to clean it up at least?
I think before this week, I would have been like banging the table with you right now. I'd be like, dude, I agree. We have to clean this shit up. I think the team has improved week to week. I think the team is also very self-aware of the things they need to do to clean up the mistakes that have happened, and they're working towards it. And again, I don't care if we throw, 2 picks this week or, 2 fumbles the week after. I care about the team making those mistakes now, correcting them, and getting into the playoffs with those mistakes identified and corrected.
Yeah, I agree. All season long, it seems like we've had a turnover bug. And last week, you're right. Against the Commanders, we took care of business against, dare I say, the worst defense in the NFL. But it was still it was clean. You know what I mean? And also, it was just stealing candy from a baby every single time Tyreek ran a streak route, because for whatever reason, they did not want to play zone. So, or even put a safety over the top. They didn't watch tape. They just didn't watch any film. Or, I don't know, maybe they're tanking. I'm not sure what they were doing, but it was idiotic all week. What I will say, going forward, is I tweeted this on our TuAmigos account, is that the statistics since 1976, okay, is based on seeding and winning the Super Bowl. 1 seeds have won the Super Bowl 55% of the time, something like that, 54% of the time, which is super high, obviously, because that first round bye is huge, and then home field through the Super Bowl is huge as well. Second seeds, it drops down to about 24, 25%. But I honestly think those might be inflated numbers because up until 3 or 4 years ago, the second seed would also get a first round bye. So it was also easier to get through the AFC or NFC when you had the 2 seed. Recently, it hasn't been as easy because you have to play that wild card weekend. Here's what my point is by saying this. The third seed in the AFC NFC historically wins the Super Bowl like 3 or 4% of the time. So, and we're staring down the barrel of some easy games here, but we got some hard ones at the end. If we somehow lose to the Ravens in Baltimore, they end up getting the 1 seed. Let's say the Chiefs win out and we have the same record as them, but they have the head-to-head over us, and we end up with the 3 seed. Our chances of getting to the Super Bowl, which is will drop from 55% to 3. So, I mean, that's how small this margin of error is, Jorge. What's your thoughts on that? Hold on, you're robot.
Can you hear me there?
Now try.
Okay. I was saying that if statisticians played the game or decided the outcome of the game, we wouldn't be watching it on Sundays. I think, players play, players win the game. I think we can be the number 1 seed. We can be the number 3 seed. Obviously, the road ahead is easier if you're the number 1 seed. But guess what? If you're the number 3 seed, you're still there. You still get a shot. You still have to play the games, and they still have to beat us. And I think, Carter, it's time we turn this mentality about, the same old Dolphins, and they're going to let us down too. Guess what? The other teams have to play us. The best offense in the NFL, the best quarterback wide receiver duo in the NFL, a top 5 defensive unit right now in the NFL, the leading rusher in touchdowns in the NFL, a very good offensive line in the NFL, a very good defensive line in the NFL, the best coach in the NFL. So you know what? Let them worry about us, man.
Well, not to be argumentative, but we are the second best offense in the NFL, as the Cowboys somehow are averaging more points than us. I'm not really sure how, but they are. The thing I will say is I would agree. I would love to have more of a mindset of like, they have to play us. But then once again, that comes to the fact of prove it to us, fuckers. Sorry. Prove it to us. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to beat a Super Bowl contender, and you have 2 shots at it. Cowboys are a Super Bowl contender. Ravens are a Super Bowl contender. Beat one of them. Beat one of them. Beat both of them.
I'm telling you right now, we're beating both of them. We're beating the Titans. We're beating the Bills. We're beating the Jets. We're not losing another regular season game this year. Like, I'll put my hand to the fire for that.
I doubt it, but I would love it to be true. The Baltimore game scares me the most on the road in cold weather. And honestly, here's my question to you. Just historically, how we've fallen off in December. When we went last year, we were 8-3. And then we dropped 5 in a row to be 8-8. And the year before that, we fell off in December. We historically in cold weather and cold weather games, we've fallen off. So here's my question to you. Will you at least admit that if we have to play in Arrowhead for the AFC Championship, comparably to Miami, we probably have like a 60% higher chance of winning in Miami?
Carter, I can admit easily that we will, it is in fact harder to win a game at Arrowhead than at Hard Rock. I will gladly admit that.
Okay. And so theoretically, we kind of need that 1 seed. Will you agree?
I agree. We won that 1 seed. I'm telling you, we're going to get it.
All right. Well, then I guess no argument from me on that for the rest of the show. I think we can definitely, if we get the 1 seed, I think this whole thing changes. If we're at home, what's our record at home over the last 20? Isn't it crazy? Oh, Jorge got kicked again. This time I was looking at his face and he wasn't in terror. So I don't think he hit another car, or a car didn't hit him. Either way, he's about to pop back in, but until then, I guess we should segue to the latter part of the show where we talk a little bit about the Titans and the Dolphins, which is Monday Night Football. That kind of sucks. I love Monday Night Football, I don't like waiting till Monday night to watch my football, but when Monday night rolls around and it's a game, I usually wish it was the Dolphins. And the Dolphins barely play Monday night football games, and we have to play the Titans with Will Levis at the helm, and then no Derrick Henry. I don't remember for sure, but I don't think it's Derrick Henry. Here's what I got to say. Also, I didn't know this, but it's a doubleheader. There's a game at the exact same time on Monday. It's the Packers and the Giants. So there is literally 2 Monday night football games at the same time, and they're both shit. Imagine that. Isn't that crazy? That's pretty nuts, though. But yeah, honestly, I don't want to watch either game. But just because I'm a Dolphins fan, I'll watch that one. And just because I'm a huge Hard Knocks watcher now, me and my girlfriend watch it every single week, and we like to see like, oh, they did the roller coaster. Let's find out. Let's watch them creating that celebration in practice. It's just cool little connection stuff. And obviously, I just watch every Dolphins game. But here's what I will say. It's one of those games, again, where they have no business scoring 10 points. And we have no business not scoring 50. And that is my standard every single week when we play these shitty teams. That is my standard every single week. It will not change. It will not crumble cookie. You don't know what that is. But anyways, that's it for my show today because Jorge has not decided to pop back in. Maybe he did get T-boned. I will text him and make sure he is safe and sound. But I'm sure he would have also agreed that the Titans have no business playing in any game with us. The other thing I will say before we end this show, though, is a lot of people are having this argument this week of like, who should be the MVP? Is it Tua? Is it Tyreek? Is it neither of them? And most people are arguing on TV. Even most Dolphins fans are going, well, it's Tyreek, right? Here's what I will say. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Probably, like, I remember last season when we had Tyreek, but then we had a backup quarterback. We were pretty shitty. We were really, really shitty with Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. It's like, oh, well, Tyreek should still win us games. He didn't. But if we lost, I would way rather lose Tyreek than, I wouldn't want to lose either, but I'd rather lose Tyreek than Tua going into the playoffs just because this system is really important. You could just put Waddle in Tyreek's spot. It probably wouldn't be as efficient, but it would be pretty close, I guess. And Tua is the reason that this system works. You need a quarterback like that who's a technician who gets that ball out of his freaking hand like salsa. I don't know if that's a saying, but like salsa. So that's the only thing I have to say on the matter is that, yeah, I would agree that Tyreek's having the season of his life. And he's probably going to have the best wide receiver season in the history of football. But it's part of the system. I honestly think you could move Waddle in there, and I honestly think that Tua is the only reason that this is well-oiled in the first place. Anyways, that's the show. Dolphins 42, Titans 10. If it's anything different than that, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I love you. We'll see you next week. I'll text Jorge to make sure the car crash went okay. I don't know what happened. This has been the TuAmigos. I'll see you next week.